Name is Vaishali Jha, and I am the host and founder of the Caregena Podcast. And here I am today with Olivia, who is a researcher and one of the national ambassadors of the American Cancer Society.
Great to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so Olivia, I'm really interested in learning about your journey as a public speaker for the American Cancer Society. And I guess, my first question is, what specific goals and aspirations drive the work you engage in?
Yeah, so I guess for kind of more general idea of what I've been doing is I work with the American Cancer Society, and basically I go and lobby to politicians, legislators, and get involved in like congressional caucus meetings, do a lot of fundraising as well. Kind of the overarching goal of what I do is to really, especially like in the pediatric scope of like cancer research, really like bolster awareness and understanding of like the implications of cancer, especially more in the long term for children, and then also just kind of facilitating research for individuals with cancer.
Wow, that sounds so amazing. I guess what inspired you to get involved into specifically cancer? Like,
Yeah, yeah. So a little bit about myself is I'm actually a cancer survivor myself. So when I was younger, I was diagnosed. I'm doing fine now, but like kind of having that like firsthand exposure, really kind of made me aware of like how much, especially in like the world of pediatric oncology or like pediatric study of cancer, how much we're kind of missing out on. Like there's a lot of gaps, especially in research, and in public policy as well. And so I really kind of got interested in engaging in that aspect of public speaking, policy, and whatnot.
I guess, wow, that must have been some experience. I guess reflecting on your work, what are some of the most formidable challenges you've encountered, and how have you navigated them?
Yeah, I would say in the context of like public policy and like speaking, I would say one thing is really kind of getting your ideas across to like legislators. So, when me and my colleagues, we go and meet with, different legislators, like, ones we're constituents for, and just like across the nation. And there's times when they're not super receptive or, not supportive of, the policies that we're, kind of, hoping to, get passed, either in the House or the Senate. So sometimes it's, a challenge to really, kind of get your message out there. And, generally, people are pretty supportive of, pediatric cancer research, but there's times when individuals don't want to allocate the funds to actually, do that. So sometimes it's, a little bit of a challenge to, really kind of, you know, I guess get the support that's needed. It takes a long time as well. And, also considering kind of a lot of inefficacies and, legislation and Congress in general, it's pretty slow process. So that's another limitation I would say as well.
Yeah, that seems like a really long process. I guess what insights do you have for someone who may be wanting to get into research or specifically get involved in a leadership position for something they're really passionate about? And they're just starting off. So, yeah, do you have
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'd say for, I guess, in the context of research, for myself, what I found to be really helpful is cold emailing. So, if you know kind of like a general field that you really want to go into or you're really passionate about, like you said, I would say, find someone, in your area, maybe at a local university, community college that's doing research in that field, reach out to them. And you're probably going to have to be emailing a lot of people, to be honest. And, just express interest like, hey, I really like what you're doing. Maybe try to get involved, see if you can, maybe intern there, do a rotation there, or if not, just, maybe have a talk, get on a Zoom meeting with them and just, express more interest and, try to get some exposure into that field. The most kind of preferred ways to really, get like hands-on experience. But I would say cold emailing is really kind of underestimated in a lot of ways. It's been super helpful to myself, and I know a lot of my peers have really benefited from that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I'm also heavily involved in research. I would also say to utilize LinkedIn because
Yes.
I found a bunch of research opportunities just, through DMing a bunch of professors. So I feel just try to utilize all the resources you have and actively try to attend conferences because those are really nice
Yes.
as well. I actually recently I participated in Sigma Xi and Current
Yes.
Earth.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just try to like see whatever's available to you. And I have a passion for neuroscience.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, like psychology, behavior. Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of like I haven't reached that much of a presence yet, but I'm still learning. So, just keep growing, that's my words of wisdom, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I feel like I'm very lucky to live in I live in like kind of the DC area, so there's typically
Mhm.
like when people have like national conferences, there's a lot kind of, in the area. So like, there's sometimes where, I go to like, there's like a convention center and it's like, oh, we have like these poster presentations, you can just go and see and it's really cool to just see kind of what people are working on. So, yeah, it's a really cool
Yeah.
opportunity.
And definitely, if you're like, if you might be a little nervous or anxious, like, don't worry, there's a
Yeah,
bunch of other people there to support you. And I feel
absolutely.
like, yeah, like, as my first time being a sorry, my voice is so bad right now, but
You're
like,
totally
as a sophomore, actually, it was my first time I gave like an oral presentation, and I was kind of like a really like shy kid. But I feel like once you get out there, like talking about your research in front of like, a bunch of people, I feel like it's just like a way for you to like really open up and really talk in front of large
absolutely.
crowds. So,
Yeah,
do you have any
absolutely.
advice for, just presenting, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the big thing is like for myself, like I've done quite a bit of like presentations, like I've been at like ISAF and everything. I would say one thing, a lot of times people make like a script and like kind of recite it. I tend to not do that. I really like to like kind of ad lib and like, it depends if I'm presenting to a big audience, like, I'll have like kind of a general idea of like, like I'll set out a structure and kind of adhere to that, but I won't have like a strict like word by word like basis of what I'm gonna say. But if I'm like presenting one on one with maybe like a judge, for example, like at ISAF or like, if I'm at like a, conference and presenting a poster to just someone who's interested in my project, I'll kind of like get an idea of like, their vibe a little bit and see like, are they kind of looking for an in-depth, kind of overview of what I'm doing or, something more general and just kind of go by kind of what you're feeling, right? It sounds a little bit odd, but I would say like just present based on your audience. And again, like personally, I really like to ad lib and just like, I'm comfortable with my research. So, and I want to show that and be like, I'm very flexible. You can interrupt me and like, ask questions. I'm really like, I would say very questions heavy. I love it when people ask that sort of stuff. So I would say, get comfortable with, your research and be receptive to questions. I think that's a big thing that's helped me in the past.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I guess like and as per leadership, I guess my last question was kind of like, I mean, you kind of already answered it, but I guess what do you have any pearls of wisdom that you'd like to impart to individuals who want to like embark in similar paths as you?
I mean, I would say like I feel like this is a little bit cliche, but I would just say honestly, just go for it. I know it's like initially it's like a little bit, people have like hesitance and like, oh, I'm worried I won't do a good job or, maybe it's too difficult, too time consuming. But I mean, the only way to find out is like by just going and doing it, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I feel like, I had kind of that initial hesitance, like, what if it's like, what if I don't have the time for it? Or what if it's just, something that I'm not going to enjoy? Or, again, like, it's just, I'm not going to, do a good job at it, right? But it's
Yeah.
something, it's like everyone is learning. And I think that's something that I've kind of had to accept. Like, it's not like, everyone there is like, kind of feels similar to you. It's like they're all trying to do their best, just as you are or you should be, And I think by, really trying, just do your best, honestly, and like, understand that everyone is kind of learning at the same rate as you are. And just like, I mean, get out there and just, try, it's kind of the best you can do, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'd say it's better to, try and fail than, not do anything at all, right? And reach out to people, like you said before, like use your connections, like whether it's like LinkedIn or, cold emailing or whatever, and like, just try to make an impact, right? I know it's like, it's better, easier said than done, but just try.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And also like I guess like for any high schooler that's watching this, just don't do it for like your resume. Do it for like
No,
something you're really passionate about. Because I know people who are taking like 16 AP classes and they're like, I want to get into Harvard. Like, you actually have to like really precisely show that you're showing impact, right? And that's only going to happen if you truly care about it. So I feel like that's a real big issue just like across the nation. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I know people that have just like started like nonprofits and stuff just for
Yeah.
like college admissions. That is not the way to go. If you're doing it for, yeah, like you said, padding your resume, like you're not doing it right. Like, and I think colleges tend to see through that. Like, again, if you're starting a nonprofit and it's like, you know, you're not really doing anything with it, it's like just to say you started a nonprofit, right? You know, people can see that, right? So I think really going and by really going and doing something and showing that like there's meaning behind what you're doing and you're really, like you said, like having an impact, like that goes a long way. And I think, if you're really passionate about something, that's really going to show, one by the impact, but two by, I would say like, even if it's like impact on a smaller scale, it's like, I'd say you're having a lot of outreach and really being engaged in your community. And I guess in that sense, it's impact, but it's like, it doesn't need to be, a huge national scale thing, right? Just, you know, yeah, I definitely agree with you. I feel like a lot of people these days are, kind of getting into like questionable things just to,
Yeah.
add to their college applications. But yeah, it shows, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like people have been like even maintaining like all these activities, their mental
Yeah.
health kind of just like deteriorates. Like, oh my God, I've got crammed like 5 activities today. I don't know how I'm gonna finish all my homework. So I guess like do you have any words of advice for like, maintaining a good schedule and like really like, trying your best in all your classes?
I mean, for myself, I would say like, I think if you're doing it for like all of your different activities, if you're doing that exclusively for your college applications, you're not going to enjoy it, right? It's just going to be a burden on top of your coursework, right? But I
Hmm.
would say if you're doing it like out of true passion and enjoyment, like I do like this advocacy stuff, I do research, I do a bunch of other things, right? I would say like it does really show, and if you're doing stuff out of passion, you're going to enjoy it. And I think doing that, on top of your course load, right? It's hard. It's not going to be easy, and it's like it's a big challenge with regard to time. You really have to manage your time well. But if you're doing it really because you enjoy doing it, it's not bad, right?
Yeah.
Again, there's times where it's hard, and there's times where you're really like kind of overburdened with work, but
Hmm.
it's really fulfilling. And I think that for myself and other people that I know, I don't want to speak on behalf of everyone, but I think that really helps in a lot of ways. So I would say, stick to what you like and stick to what, you really feel like, makes an impact, what you're passionate about. And I think that just makes things a lot more manageable. One, because it's like, to me, it's almost like the different like activities that I do outside of school, like they don't burden me in a sense. They actually like it brings me fulfillment, like despite like, the rigor of like the classes that I'm taking and whatnot. So it's almost like it's weird because it's like duality. It's like, yeah, I guess I could add it to my college apps. That's not really the focus, but it's also like an outlet in some sense. So yeah, I would say, I mean, if you are doing a lot of, AP classes or dual enrollment classes or whatever, and you're doing all these activities and you feel like it's really overbearing, I would say, if you feel like you can't manage both, I would say pick the activities that you feel like you enjoy the most. Whether, even if maybe they're not like, they don't have the biggest community impact, pick the ones that you really like and you really feel like you could continue and grow and like, I guess develop and maybe like, you know, shape in a different, I don't know, just kind of, again, pick the ones that you really enjoy and just kind of go from there, right? If you're
Yeah.
doing things that aren't fulfilling, like, why continue,
Yeah, definitely.
especially when you're kind of on a time crunch, but
Hmm. And I feel like also, I totally agree. You should also try to be involved in self-care because I feel like some
yes.
people like, oh yeah, no, I'm not getting like 5 hours of sleep. Like, oh, you really need to take like what's good for you, right? So it's gonna be like about 7 to 8 hours is recommended for teenagers. So I feel like, don't lack in sleep and make sure to, eat healthy and, just go for a jog or, just keep exercising. Because that's what
Yeah.
also helps you, n not deal with like overthinking, anxiety, like all the kind of like the mental health stuff that
Yeah.
arises. So,
Yeah, I think definitely self-care. Like I'm about to graduate, right? High school. Like my senior fall was like, supplemental essays, getting all my college apps together. And it's like, I was definitely like, 4 or 5 hours of sleep at night. It was not good. But, if you really take the time to, prioritize like your own health and like just sanity in general, it makes
yeah.
things so much better. So absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I guess, do you have any last like comments that you like to make?
I don't think so. I mean, I kind of like reiterated this, but like I guess if you're a high schooler watching this, or even like an undergrad student in college, like, you know, I would just say if you're interested in doing something, just go for it, right? Like, don't be intimidated by like, other people, in the field who are like maybe, maybe the same age as you or similar age and, doing these like crazy sounding things, right? You know, I would say, I mean, just send out that email, or make that call, whatever you need to do, and just like dive in because ultimately, like, it's only you that's holding yourself back, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say that's the biggest thing that I've kind of benefited from. So yeah, maybe that's helpful, maybe it's not, but yeah, I'd say that's
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here today, Olivia. And I hope you continue your research and really continue making an impact in the, in cancer research. So, yeah, thank you.
thank you. It was great talking with you, and I hope you do the same in kind of the field of neuroscience as well.
Thank you. All right.